Hello learners, welcome back to the course on learning and development in organization. We move to the last lecture of module 5 where we'll be looking into a practitioner's perspective. In the introductory video I had mentioned you, we'll be just not scanning through the theory, we'll be also trying to look into the practitioner's perspective. We'd like to bring to you something that is happening in real time in the world of learning and development, in the world of practice. So, I am Dr. Cyril. Issac. I am an assistant professor at the School of Business, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. Now, let's look into this practitioner's perspective in detail. What is the role and responsibilities of an L&D practitioner? Now, let's start with that. Let's start with defining the practitioner's role. When you are looking into the specific practitioner per se, the word practitioner, an L&D practitioner plays a multifaceted role that includes needs assessment, design and delivery of learning programs, evaluation of outcomes and continuous improvement. So, if you get chance, please read this particular paper. According to No 2017, the primary goal of an L&D practitioner is to align learning initiatives with organizational objectives to drive performance and growth. So, what are the key responsibilities of an L&D practitioner? The one which we holistically discussed in the previous lecture, needs assessment, identifying the skill gaps and the training needs within the organization. You have design and development, specifically creating tailored learning experiences using various methodologies. Look into delivery and facilitation, implementing learning programs through workshops, e-learning, coaching, etc. You have evaluation and feedback, measuring the effectiveness of learning interventions and making necessary adjustments. So, if you look into the skill and competencies part, effective L&D practitioners need a blend of technical, interpersonal and business skills. So, if you look into this particular study of Salas et al. 2012, it emphasizes the importance of competencies such as instructional design, communication, project management and even data analysis. So, let us look into the effective strategies for designing and delivering the learning interventions. You look into the strategies, we have to start with the first strategy, which is personalized learning path. You look into personalized learning path, personalization in learning is not just a buzzword, after AI and all. If you refer to my course on AI in human resource management, the NPTEL platform, you see that we have dedicated a module for this personalized learning and personalization. So, personalization in learning is not just a buzzword, it's a proven approach to enhancing the learner engagement and improving the outcomes. When you look into this personalization, by catering to individual preferences, prior knowledge and unique learning styles, personalized learning paths ensure that the learners receive content and support the very customized and tailored aspects to their specific needs. If you go through Payne et al. 2014, personalized learning leads to higher levels of motivation, deeper understanding and better retention of information. So, what are the typical implementation steps? First way is to adaptive learning technologies. You look into the adaptive learning technologies, they leverage AI and machine learning algorithms to adjust the difficulty, the pace, the type of content based on learners' progress and performance. I can take an example of this, Alex, assessment and learning in knowledge spaces, or Dreambox, which use real-time data to provide customized learning paths. Then you have tools like Duolingo, specifically, which uses real-time data to provide customized learning paths. And then you have tools like Duolingo that adapt lessons based on user proficiencies and areas of weakness, ensuring that learners are neither overwhelmed nor bored. So, what are the key benefits? You have real-time feedback. You get real-time feedback. You have dynamic content delivery. You have dynamic content delivery. The system adjusts content dynamically, ensuring that the learners are always challenged at the right level. You look into typical implementation, there is the second aspect of conducting pre-assessment. So, one was with respect to adaptive learning, second would be pre-assessments. The typical pre-assessments are critical for identifying the current knowledge and the skill levels of learners before designing a learning path. So, this ensures that the learning experience is neither redundant nor overly complex. So, you have the diagnostic tests like using quizzes, surveys or scenario based assessments to gauge baseline. Then there are learning style inventories, tools like WARC questionnaire help determine whether learners prefer visual, auditory, reading, writing or kinesthetic modes of learning. So, WARC is one of the significant aspect there. Then if you want to look into examples, a software development course might begin with a coding challenge to assess participants' existing skills. Based on the results, learners can be directed to beginner, to intermediate or advanced modules. But all these aspects have certain challenges and typical problems, and we see that it all requires high resource for creating these adaptive systems. Easier than said, you need more time, effort, resources typically, but the solution would be to start small by incorporating basic personalization elements like branching scenarios in e-learning modules and gradually scale up as technology and how the budget allows that. Then you come across blended learning. The second important strategy would be blended learning approach. What is blended learning? What is blended learning? It combines traditional face-to-face instruction with digital resources, offering learners flexibility and a richer and more engaging experience. So, typically this hybrid model caters to diverse learning styles. Learners thrive in collaborative, maybe in-person settings, while some others prefer self-paced online learning. So, what is the option that is allowed or suitable for them? Based on that, it is being provided. How to implement? You combine classroom sessions with digital resources. A well-designed blended learning program integrates multiple modalities to create a cohesive learning experience. You have some options like flipped classroom. Flipped classroom, learners review pre-recorded lectures or complete online readings before attending in-person settings where they engage in discussions, group activities or hands-on experience. You have LMS platforms like Moodle, Canvas, etc. So, you look into tracking of the progress that students have made or the participants have made. You also look into the pooled resources and it enhances collaboration. You have hybrid workshops typically that combine in-person workshops with virtual simulations or mobile apps for reinforcement. An example could be, let's say, something like a leadership training program that might include a one-day in-person workshop focused on communication skills complemented by an online module on emotional intelligence and maybe a mobile app for practicing mindfulness techniques. So, this would be a complicated but still effective blended learning approach. That said, you do have some challenges. Always you see the moment online, I don't know how many of you are actually religiously going through our sessions, but low engagement is a possibility, is a challenge, but we can always use gamification. I always try to make my class interesting for the simple reason that when you are looking into an online platform, there is always a risk. There is always a risk that people are not in the other end. They have just switched it on and they have went somewhere, or they are just not available. So, to overcome these aspects, we tend to make the sessions more engaging, more interesting. We can also have some typical aspects of gamification. I have already touched upon it in the previous sessions. It's the use of gamified elements with respect to the learning. When you are looking into gamification, it taps into intrinsic motivators such as, say, competition, Have you ever thought about it, that how gamification works? It taps into the intrinsic motivators such as competition, maybe achievement, at times the social interaction, or even sometimes you have making the spirit of learning enjoyable and memorable. So if you get time, please go through the study of CAP 2012, where he says that gamification increases learner engagement by providing clear goals, instant feedback, and a sense of accomplishment. How to implement this? Incorporate the game mechanics, typically introduce game elements into learning activities to make them more interactive and fun. Something like points, badges, leaderboards, award points for completing tasks or achieving milestones, and issue badges for mastering specific skills. Leaderboards displaying the top performance or top performers to encourage friendly competition, or sometimes maybe just rewards. Offer tangible rewards like, let's say, certificates or gift cards for exceptional performance. An example could be, let's say, a sales training program could include a leaderboard showing top performing learners based on quiz scores or role play exercises. Participants earn badges for completing product knowledge modules and points for closing simulated deals. There might be possibilities of different dimensions when we talk about the gamification, but please do understand it has a challenge of creating scenario based learning and progressive quests for real world application. It is also highly time, cost, labor intensive, and it can be too competitive. Balance with teamwork and peer feedback might create unnecessary problems within the organization. So these are some of the typical aspects when you look into the gamification. Please note, when you look into the challenges and quests, there might be scenario based learning, developing interactive case studies or simulations where learners must actually solve problems using acquired knowledge. So that might be the way to go about it when you look into the challenges and quests, or quest chains might be there. Quest chains are creative methods, break down complex topics into smaller quests that build upon each other, culminating in a final challenge. Now let's look into some of the emerging trends and the future directions in learning and development. Needless to say, I have to start addressing the elephant in the room: artificial intelligence and machine learning. Why AI and ML matter? If you look into artificial intelligence and machine learning, they are revolutionizing learning and development by enabling data-driven decision making, no doubt about it. Personalized learning experiences are there, automated processes are there. So according to Spectre 2020, according to Spectre 2020, these technologies allow practitioners to move beyond one-size-fits-all solutions and create adaptive, learner-centric programs that evolve with individual and organizational needs. You have typical examples of AI-driven chatbots for instant support. AI-powered chatbots provide real-time assistance, answering learning questions, guiding them through content, and offering feedback. So these tools typically act as virtual mentors, ensuring learners have access to support whenever they need it. Tools like IBM Watson Assistant, Microsoft Bot Framework are widely used to develop intelligent chatbots. So a typical example could be, let's say, an AI chatbot integrated into e-learning platform can guide individuals or employees through compliance training by answering, let's say, the FAQs, providing reminders about deadlines, and clarifying complex topics. Second could be predictive analytics. You look into predictive models. They analyze learner data to identify individuals who may be struggling or disengaged. So this allows L&D practitioners to intervene early and provide targeted support. A predictive model, let's say as an example, might flag a learner who consistently scores low on quizzes or skips assignments, prompting the instructor to offer additional resources or one-on-one coaching. Impact could be by addressing issues proactively. Organizations can reduce the dropout rates. There might be some cases of automated feedback coming up as a typical trend. AI enables automated grading and feedback for assessments, saving time for instructors and providing learners with immediate insights into their performance. So let's say tools like GradeScope uses AI to grade written responses and coding assignments, offering detailed feedback on areas of improvement. You also have some typical challenges there. Please note, ethical concerns and data privacy emerges as one of the big issues, and even algorithmic bias. So by ensuring transparency and fairness in AI systems, practitioners can build trust and maximize the benefits of these technologies. Now let's look into another interesting aspect, which is micro learning. We have touched upon it in our previous module. I am trying to give a different perspective altogether here. Micro learning involves, for the people who have not attended the previous session, delivering content in small bit-sized chunks that are easy to consume and retain. So this approach aligns with the modern learner's preference for short, focused learning sessions that fit into their busy schedules. So benefits of micro learning could be, let's say, it reduces the overall cognitive load, if you ask me. It enhances focus, by breaking down complex topics into smaller units. Micro learning helps learners focus on one concept at a time without feeling overwhelmed. Let's say an example could be, instead of a 2-hour video on project management, learners can watch a 5-minute video on let's say a SMART goal, or followed by a quiz to reinforce a concept. Or maybe there are some aspects of JIT ideal for just-in-time learning and performance support altogether. Micro learning is particularly effective for just-in-time learning, where employees need quick access to information to solve problems. A salesperson, as an example, could be preparing for a client meeting, can access a 3-minute tutorial on let's say product features, or maybe pricing strategies via mobile app. So tools like EdApp, or maybe something like Axonify, specialize in delivering micro-learning content tailored to specific needs. So the applications are tremendous. Specific to healthcare, nurses can access quick tutorials on new medical procedures or protocols. Let's say in retail, employees can learn how to handle customer complaints or process returns in under 5 minutes. So from healthcare to retail, a lot of hidden possibilities that micro learning has. Please note, it is also not without any challenges. Ensuring coherence across fragmented content becomes a big challenge typical to micro learning. So using structured frameworks and playlists to organize micro learning modules into cohesive learning path might be a way to go ahead with. The third trend typically would be of VR, virtual reality and augmented reality. VR and AR create immersive, interactive environments that simulate real-world scenarios, making them ideal for experiential learning. So these technologies are particularly valuable in high-stakes or hazardous situations where hands-on practice is critical. You look into the key applications, you have the most typical in safety training. VR allows learners to practice safety protocols in realistic, risk-free environments, reducing the likelihood of accidents in the workplace. It is cost-effective also in that case. Let's say construction workers can use VR headsets to simulate the emergency evacuation drills or practice operating heavy machinery. Studies show that VR-based safety training improves knowledge retention and reduces workplace injuries. You can go through the Micropolos and NUTSIS 2011 study typically for that. Then you have the customer service. Please note that AR and VR enable retail employees to practice handling difficult customer. So interactions or managing peak shopping hours in a controlled setting becomes one of the typical aspect. Let's take an example. Let's say a Walmart employee could use VR to navigate a crowded store during Black Friday, practicing inventory management and conflict resolution, something which otherwise is very difficult on a real time scenario. So, let us say tools or platforms like Striver and Immerse specialize in creating VR training programs for corporate environments. Soft skill development is another typical application. Please note, VR is increasingly being used to teach soft skills, be it leadership, be it communication, empathy, by placing learners in realistic interpersonal scenarios altogether. Let's say managers who can participate in VR simulations to practice giving constructive feedback or resolving team conflicts. But again, there are some challenges. Please note, high costs, but as technology becomes more affordable and accessible, adoption rates are expected to rise and making this VR AR a mainstream tool in L&D. So, we had a typical understanding with respect to the virtual reality world, and we also looked into the possible tools and techniques. Please note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when you are looking into learning and development from the world of practice, it's much sophisticated, it has gone much ahead. You look into today's world, you see that there are a lot of practices where technology is being used. There are a lot of aspects in learning and development which is integrated with technology. You look into what we have discussed with respect to the AI in technology, we discussed about the micro learning, we discussed about AR, VR technologies. All these virtual world is trying to give you the simulated experience of learning and development. And please note, there is a big catch when it comes to simulated environment. Many a time you tend to not understand or take into consideration the human factor. Let me address the main point here. Many a time we do not consider the human factor, and this human factor can be decisive in any key scenarios. Let it be a flight simulation. It might be altogether a different scenario when you consider the human factor. Similarly, on the other hand, you are looking into a massive update and evolution in technology, which is making people capable of doing things which are otherwise not possible because of the sheer cost that is associated with a certain level of other activities. So, if you look into the simulation or scenario based learning, virtual reality, all these aspects address one important aspect, which is the cost parameter. It has brought down the cost parameter so much that learning and development can be more affordable. More sophistication can be added, more conditions can be added to all the learning and development modules, and that's what this personalized learning, that's what technology enabled learning has brought in. But that said, please do not forget about the human factor. The human factor becomes critical in learning and development. We'll discuss more on this critical aspect of learning and development in the coming modules. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.